you very much for this very kind introduction. So I'm very pleased to be here today. I'm the guy who arrived in Sydney without his luggage, so I started my morning with a very pleasant shopping activity. So here is what I propose today. So I will start with a little comment on the current situation in Australia and comparing this with what we have in France. Then we will look at what would be the consumer needs in the future. We will try to analyze worldwide deployment in terms of fiber, looking at the leaders deployment in Japan and the US, and analyzing in detail what's going on in Europe. Then I will comment a little bit on the key parameters deciding where to put the fiber until the home was talking before. And I will finish with some business model exercise and also a little simulation we have done for the city of Sydney. I would like to submit you. So quite quickly, what is the situation in Australia? I won't comment a lot on this because I think it will be deeply comment afterwards. Coverage concerning ADSL 2+, if I believe the sources looked in the web, are quite good. Nearly 48% of Australians are covered with ADSL 2+. The debate today of the NBN, very aggressive announcement. I won't here go also in the detail, but more on the NBN related question. The question are first, what would be the exact cost of deployment of this network? What could be the right customers tarification for 100 meg access? What are going to be the associated service for this technology? And also, what would be exactly the wholesale mechanism to assure a good QoS for innovative services and at what right price? I did a first comparison with what's going on in France. I could have done this also talking about wine, but I was afraid to find that the dynamic are more on the camp of Australia, so I really concentrate on broadband. In France, we have also a coverage of ADSL 2+, allowing a triple play. Around half of the population is covered with ADSL 2+ today. We have also aggressive government announcement, and recently the government announced that they will double the objective of FTTH subscribers in the country up to 2012. It was 4 million a few months ago, and now it will be 8 million outside, up to 2012, and half of them will be in non-urban dense areas. Investment announced, it's less than 800 million euros done by the state-owned bank in collaboration normally with the local bodies in France. The situation in France is very developed in terms of involvement of the local bodies and the local authorities. We have in the country cities involved, departments involved, region involved. All these entities are building local networks in order to propose after dark fiber or wholesale bitstream access to the operators in order to develop mainly until now unbundling of the couple. So we have already 2 billion euros invested in those networks, and half of this investment is coming from public funding in France. So we have also the same questions today in France. Even if we have started the first deployment of FTTH, we are still looking at what would be the right tarification for 100 meg, for what kind of innovative services, and the same question concerning the wholesale mechanism, price and QoS associated to neutral network, in particular promoted by local bodies. So it is the first difference, I would say, with Australia, is that we have already in France local bodies really deeply involved in such neutral networks rollout. How they are involved? They are involved in neutral networks, I was saying, it means that they are building passive infrastructure in terms of ducts, in terms of dark fiber, and now they are also involved in active equipment. They can install DSLAM, active DSLAM, switching equipment, but they never provide final access to the customers. This is really a carrier model, and after, on the upper layer, you have service provider addressing the final customer. Here is some examples of a project being deployed recently in France. We have first FTTH neutral rollout being mainly ducts until the building or dark fiber being installed until the building. And you can see here that we have quite aggressive deployment in Hauts-de-Seine is around Paris, more than 400 million euros being invested. It's just a project not started yet, but it seems that we will have the approval of the European Commission because we need this approval to have the project started. And here you have public subsidized at the level of 15%. So the next step really we think in France will be the involvement of the local authorities in those FTTH rollouts. When we do a comparison in terms of broadband tariffication, we really think that France has probably the most competitive broadband offer today. We have today the standard offer being triple play, including ADSL plus, maximum of 20 megs, including more than 200 IPTV channels and also HDTV being included inside, unlimited IP telephony to fixed and overseas, and all these for 30 euros, which is approximately 50 Australian dollars. We have also no limitation on download traffic, and the news is that on the new FTTH deployment started, quite tiny for the moment, but the challenger of France Telecom, Free, announced that it will keep the same price for FTTH, so they are proposing 100 meg and 50 megs upload at the same price of 30 euros. France Telecom proposed a little higher tariffication, around 47 euros per month.